Let's get it started this morning. So, we have a few things up this morning, but honestly nothing that looks like super good. GME has dropped a lot, which is kind of nice. So, maybe we'll take a trade on that today to the short side, since it looks like it's not doing too hot. CDTX popped up earlier, but has pulled back. IGIC had like some insane move this morning. I don't know what's going on with it. Went from $5, $6 to $90. Now it's back down to 16 on literally no volume. So a little bit wonky. Wouldn't be super surprised if this is some kind of like China pump and dump stock. What we got here? International General Insurance Holdings. No idea who these people are. Yeah, I have no idea who these people are. So they popped off this morning though. So, but yeah, obviously they're back down to earth. Probably not something that we're super interested in. Yeah, NNOX came up this morning. I don't really know what's going on with this stock. Popped up, then went sideways for a very long time, which is like, this is the kind of thing that you see here if it's like a acquisition or some like specific news where it should be pinned to a price. They get FDA clearance for digital X-ray technology. It seems like they made out pretty good. It's been going up a little bit since 7 o'clock, but pulling back now. So, might take a trade on it, but probably hold off and see what happens with it. It's a little high price. So, float's a tiny bit high, price is very high, and volume's a little bit low. So, we'll see what we feel about that later. And then we had CEMI, which, pushed up last week coming into the close on Thursday, and is now pulling back a little bit coming into the open. So, not anything too spectacular there either. So really nothing super interested in trading right now. Keep an eye on GameStop, definitely. I took a few trades on it this morning. Where did I end up taking these trades? I think the first trade I took was, I took a very fast trade when it was pushing down through this candle, looking for the continuation back down. And then I think I lost like $10 on it or something. I covered it pretty much as soon as it broke 160 on the way back up. And then the second trade I took was on the 5-minute here. So it bounced off VWAP. I sold coming into 166. So I lost like, I don't know, $15, $20 on this first trade. And then I sold coming into 66 here. And then it broke down through 60 and immediately pushed back up through. So it held like 159.50 for about like, I don't know, very fast. I don't know, like 30 seconds or something, and then immediately pushed back up through 160. So I covered it when it pushed up through 160. So I made like $60 on that trade, and I lost like close to 20 on the other, 15, 20. I'm up like $40 overall so far this morning. The reason why I kind of wasn't looking for like continuation on this was because it's already dropped $30 today. And although I still think it's probably going to drop more, GME definitely has a habit of buying up these dips every single time they happen. What's going on, House? It's going pretty well. I'm up today on GME on my other account. Up like 40 bucks, I think, at the moment. So, take that. How's the morning going for you? Feel like it's been forever since I've traded. It's like, with like Friday being a no trading day. Um, finally, I got you. um, yeah, my one trade on GameStop has made up most of my losses that I've had in the last 2 weeks. So we'll take it for right now. Um, yeah, I mean, I think GameStop is gonna go lower. Um, but like I was saying, GameStop has this uh, kind of irrational way, or I don't know. Pretty much every time it dips, it gets bought up. Like no matter what, even if it totally has no right to, it still gets bought back up. Pretty much every single time it dips. So I'm gonna be more careful on it today if I am gonna take any more trades on it. Since yeah, like I said, it's already down. It started at 190 this morning and it tapped 155, so $40 drop there. Obviously, we're up a little bit from there, but still quite the dip this morning. And it seems to be tapping off of VWAP and pulling back. So maybe that's the play today. Selling into it as it comes into VWAP. I don't have shares to short on Thinkorswim, so if I am going to take a trade short on it, I'll take it my Lightspeed account. And maybe I can I don't know, maybe I could find the Lightspeed window and put it up somewhere on the screen. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm probably not going to take a trade on it. It's kind of consolidating a little bit right here. Let's see. Let's draw some of these lines. So from the top of here to the top of here, and we got this into this. So it seems to be in a little bit of consolidation range at the moment. If we look on the 4-hour, those lines look terrible, obviously. But we've now broken down through the previous low of this consolidation range. So we definitely had like a trend break in that respect. Still, we put in these lows, a couple weeks ago, where we hit 112. So this could be a longer trend at this point, and we could start, maybe come a little bit closer to there, but then bounce back up, and then kind of trend below or trend between 112 and 190. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen today. But keep an eye out. If it looks like there's a good trade to make, then we'll try and make it. For the time being, I'm probably not going to take another trade on it. I wasn't awake when these happened. I woke up at like 6:45 this morning, so at the very tail end of this, that was why the first trade that I took was on this 5-minute candle, and the second trade that I took was on this 5-minute candle. Second trade worked out well, though. Yeah, it seems to be having a rough time coming up to VWAP. So, kind of nice to see there. With GameStop of weeks past, every single time it runs down, this thing just immediately comes back up through VWAP, but it looks like we're holding below VWAP right now, which is good to see. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with IGIC. I talked about this a little bit earlier. Yeah, I assume some kind of manipulation going on here. Like, because it made this move on it made the move from $8 to $90 on, let's see here, 122 shares, 100 shares, and then 224 shares. So approximately 500 shares moved this stock from $8 to $90. So I honestly don't even think anyone made money on this. I mean, I think the only people who made money on this are the people who were holding it before this moved. Because there's no way the people who bought these shares made money on this. Or if they did, it was very little. Sure, these guys bought these 500 shares literally on the next candle. It was half the price that it was. So if they bought 100 shares at $90, it's just like literally snap your fingers back down to $50. So, like, yeah, I mean, I assume it was some bot gone crazy, but like the amount of shares that were bought were so low that there's no way, yeah, anything good came of it unless there were people holding it before this happened. And they made out great, you know. These are all these people right here on the 5-minute that are selling now at close to $20 when this thing was at $8 previously. Guys made out like bandits. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen something with such a huge move on such light volume. Like literally 500 shares, and it multiplied the price by 10. So it's like it's pretty extreme. Pretty extreme. Looks like we're gonna have another quiet morning on our hands here. Really not too much going on. Really, the only thing to be watching right now is GameStop. Everything else that's popped up has kind of been a little bit lackluster. ZDTX was the only thing that really popped up this morning. Oh yeah. I shaved on Thursday last week. Dude, it's like morning Shamshir. It really wasn't the beard that bothered me. It was like the mustache, because it was like every time I tried to eat something or drink something, it was just like I always had to like try to eat around my mustache or drink around my mustache, or else it got all wet. So I was like, shaving this thing off. It's too long. And I figured if I was just shaving my mustache, I might as well shave everything. It'll be back eventually. I'm very lazy, so I usually don't end up shaving for months at a time. I mean, we're just kind of talking. There's not really too much going on this morning. CDTX popped up early, but pulled back. I was watching a bunch of I watched a few like trader interviews this weekend, and a bunch of the guys who were talking, who were like interviews with professional traders, were like, the main strategy they end up using is like floating or shorting low float stocks. And I'm going long on low float stocks right now. That's like primarily what I'm doing. But thinking about trying to switch it up, especially in this market where everything's popping up and then immediately selling off. Yeah. So I'm thinking about maybe trying to adjust the strategy. And if I am gonna do that, I'm still gonna take like pretty light shares, just because I am much less experienced, shorting things, obviously, since I don't really do it very often. So if I do try to do that while I'm learning to do it, I'm probably going to take very light shares, and I'm mostly going to work on like setups and like trying to determine whether or not I think things are in a good position to be shorted. Oh, you can't short with cash account? That's unfortunate. Thinkorswim really, although it says that you can short things on Thinkorswim, like, I don't think I've seen anything that you can short. There's like never shares to borrow. You'll see shares to borrow on like really big names, like maybe like Microsoft or like Apple. They have shares to borrow. Yeah, see like Microsoft. You see how it says easy to borrow here, ETB. So if it says that on Thinkorswim, you can short it, but it's like almost nothing is easy to borrow on Thinkorswim. So it's really useless. Like anything that you would want to short, you can't short on Thinkorswim. So it's honestly like not even worth looking at. Oh no, not GMEXX. I don't even know what that is. Yeah, so if I was gonna short, I'd do so on my other account. I got a Lightspeed account. So maybe throw that into the mix at some point this month. See if we can get some winners there, since it seems like on the long side, at least pre-market, it's been very, very hit or miss in the last month. I watched like people reviewing their trades and stuff, after the market close and on the weekends, and it seems like there's been some decent opportunities during market hours. We've had some stocks, go up 300-400%, things like that. They mostly pull it back by the end of the day, but yeah, ACY did really well that one day, but it started going up at like 10 o'clock or something, or 10:30. Yeah. So, obviously, like, by this time I'm at work, so I can't take trades on this. And I've seen quite a few stocks like this. Oh, my bad. Let me go to my other window here. Yeah, so ACY had a killer day on Thursday, but, I'm just not able to trade this, so there's not a lot that I can do. So, I'm trying to find new strategies that I can do that are working in the times that I can actually trade. It seems like shorting some of these stocks that pop up could be, something that potentially works for me. Since I would say the vast majority of the time when we see these low floats pop up, we've seen them pull back like nearly immediately. What do I work on? I work on computers. I do software engineering. So literally on my computer all day. So like throughout the day I can like look at my TD account. Like when GME was going up, like I could trade that a little bit during the day just because I didn't have to worry about execution speed as much, and like if I was already holding a position on it, I could like make adjustments to it or sell some off. Just because like it's not like I'm like locked to my screen all day when I'm working, but I'm not able to take trades on something like this, ACY. Like I'm not like looking at my scanners all the time. I don't really have those up, so. But yeah, I mean, I just gotta find some strategies that work for the time that I actually trade. And low float stocks going long for you know the last year have actually been like really really solid pre-market coming into market open. Um, but in like the last month, seemingly during the time period that I trade them, has slowed down quite a bit. Wisdom, thanks for the follow, man. I really appreciate it. If you want to follow along with me on the trading stuff, check out oliveguardians.com. I got my scanners up there, and everything I trade, throughout the morning, comes from there. Yeah, so looking at other strategies that I can potentially try in the mornings. If I start trading on my Lightspeed account, I don't have my bongo mappings for that trading software, especially because I use a lot more hotkeys. So might have to forego the bongo hitting if I do that. Bongos are more of a think or swim type scenario, but get past that bridge when we get to it. Yeah, like I said, I mean, not really too much going on this morning. Mostly just GME being watched right now. Um, came down $40 this morning. Got bought back up to VWAP, so came down hard. Got bought back up to VWAP. Rejected off VWAP pretty well. I took a trade short on this in my other account before I started trading this morning. Um, so that worked out nicely. I covered it when it couldn't break down through 160 very well. ENXZC. How should I pronounce that? I'll call you E. What's going on, E? How are you this morning? Um, so I covered it when it came back up through 160 when it looked like it couldn't hold below 160. This on this candle right here on the 1 minute, there was actually like it's very high volume. There was like a 9,000 share buyer sitting at like like just below 162 or somewhere around there, and it just got blown through. There was someone putting an order for like 8,500 shares. MNKD. I don't know what is MNKD. I will preface this by saying, I'm not really an investment advice kind of guy. um, and yeah, anything I say, definitely not investment advice. I'm also fairly new to trading, so really just doing this to help me get better, and hopefully, some other people can, like as we talk through this stuff, get better as well. Uh, so let's check out MNKD. Oh, MNKD. What was this big dip back here? So it dipped on really high volume. So obviously the thing dropped off the face of the earth right after earnings. Um, so I assume what you're doing is like a buy the dip trade here. Um, so I mean, yeah, I don't know what the fundamentals of the company look like, but I assume if it had this huge dip after earnings, then most likely it's probably worth closer to what it was before that, and people were just taking profit as it came up at the end. So I mean, I could see it coming back up, but again, I don't know anything about the stock. Probably have to look into it a little bit more to give you a better answer than that. But I mean, with such a hard dip, I would have to assume it would have to rebound at least a little bit. And Wisdom, the volume indicators, I just found them online. Um, so uh, the plugin is this guy, I guess, from the Real Slim Trady. So maybe if you Google that, you can find the plugin. I think it was on like the Thinkorswim forums or some forums, trading forums. It just splits up the volume bars into like buying and selling volume, so you can kind of see what the distribution is. Jack, homie from YouTube over here, I appreciate it. Checking out the YouTube. CEMI. So it pushed up on Thursday afternoon, like coming into the close. I don't know what the news it came up on was. Rapid test to differentiate COVID-19 from the flu. So came up on news, but this morning has been pulling back from where it closed on Thursday. So I would say I don't really love the way this looks until it starts pushing back up towards where it closed or where it opened this morning. Up towards maybe 580. It is above VWAP right now, but I would at least like to see it pull back and retest VWAP, since it seems like it had a few tails here on these 5-minute candles. But I think it looks okay. I'd want to see it push up more, though. It had quite the sell-off this morning, and it is recovering, but it just really hasn't proved its strength at the moment. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take a trade on this. On like the 5-minute, the break above 538 could potentially look okay, but I don't know. I would want it to come back up closer to these highs before I take a trade on it. Especially because the news was on Thursday, so this is really like a continuation play. So we're a few days out of the news at the moment. All right. Just had something pop up on the scanners here. I'm gonna move GME over to my other window. BKYI just popped up, but looks like it did so on fairly light volume. So probably not something I'm going to be looking at trading unless we see volume come into this. I usually like to see, if we're thinking about going long on these low floats, a 1-minute candle with at least 50,000 shares. That kind of proves that there's fairly solid volume coming into it. The fact that this thing put in a candle with 40,000 shares, and then the next candle had 16,000, and then this candle has even less, and these candles seem to be pulling back a little bit. It's just not really something I want to trade at the moment. So we'll still keep an eye on it, but I still think the main thing we're going to be looking at is GameStop. I'm interested to see what it does. So it's still kind of in this consolidation area. Looks like it might take a run up to VWAP again. But hopefully, coming into 9 o'clock, we should see it make a move in one direction or the other. Maybe we'll take a trade on it when it comes, when it gets closer to the, the sides of this wedge that it's making right now. But right now, just consolidating right below VWAP. Ooh, quite a few viewers at the moment. If you guys want to follow along with me, check out oliveguardians.com. Got the scanners up there. That's where I get all of the stocks that I trade every morning. Definitely check those out. I feel like every day that there's a big move on GameStop, I always end up getting more viewers. So it's like my viewer count is literally directly related to how well GameStop is moving. Seems to be a very common trend in the last month. What's the overall market, I guess, today? I haven't really looked. So, overall market obviously looking amazing. Besides this anomaly back here, which I don't know what this was, some bot or someone fat fingering like a massive order or something. We are at all-time highs in the SPY, so market is looking, as strong as it could be at the moment. We just had HOTH pop up. HOTH, one of these stocks that I feel like every week we see this pop up one time, and it pops up and it never holds. So definitely am not going to take a trade on this. So you can see it's back in January, big candle up, and then a couple weeks later, another big candle, big candle, big candle. They always close green, but barely. So this isn't one that we're going to want to take a trade on. It pretty much never holds its full level. It always pops up and then pulls back, half the move, and that's really all it does on the day. So, not one that we're going to want to be trading. It's just always popping up. GameStop looks like it's taking a run through VWAP at the moment. Seems to be rejecting off of it a little bit. So if it fails the push through VWAP this time, this is going to be the third time that it fails to break through VWAP. Back here, we came up to VWAP. Well, here it just barely broke VWAP and then pulled back. Then we came up to VWAP again. Hard rejection, very hard rejection. Then we came back up, almost tapped VWAP again. Then we rejected again, a little bit softer rejection. We didn't pull back as far, and now we're coming up again, but it looks like we're rejecting off of it for, a third or fourth time, depending on how you're looking at it. So this is kind of a, pretty, it's kind of indicator of weakness. We're not able to push up through VWAP. We're just consolidating right below it. So now if we start pushing down towards the bottom of this wedge that we've been putting in on the 5-minute, this might be an indicator that we're going to make a little bit more of a move down. Volume obviously very light today. It's obviously very high price, so the volume is always going to be a little bit lighter. We'll see as we come closer to 9 o'clock what this ends up doing. Maybe by the time 8:30 rolls around, we'll see it start pushing towards one side of this wedge. Then maybe we can make a trade on the breakdown or the breakthrough. And kind of like I said with HOTH, it's just kind of pulled back the entirety of its move at this point, not really doing too much. If we go through some of the other stuff that we were looking at, IGIC, this thing made a ludicrous move. We were talking about this earlier today. Went from $8 to $90 on 500 shares of volume. So, a little bit ridiculous. Unclear what happened there, but definitely not one that we want to trade. The volume is just so light on this that it's absurd. So yeah, not one that we're looking at trading. We had CEMI. CEMI, popped up on news on Thursday. So now this. If we have it come back up, this is going to be like a continuation play on the news from Thursday. It's another COVID play. But seems to be having maybe a tiny bit of trouble holding above VWAP here. So we'll see how it fares coming down into VWAP. If it pushes back up, I want to see it get closer to these highs back here if I'm going to try to take a trade on it. Till then, we'll just wait and see what happens. NNOX. So this is a little high price for me. I usually don't trade things that are super high price like this. The exception being GameStop, just because GameStop's been irrationally strong lately. Oh, someone followed me and I didn't realize. Cooler Drooler, appreciate the follow, dude. Sorry for not saying it, and it didn't pop up on the screen at the time for some reason. But appreciate the follow, definitely. GameStop now seems like it's pushing up towards the upper bound of this wedge that we're in. Oh, you're from YouTube. Interesting. Very cool. I feel like my YouTube multi-streaming is like really hit or miss. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that a lot. Thanks, man. I feel like 99% of days that I stream, that I'm streaming, I get absolutely no views from YouTube. It's just like every once in a while, the YouTube algorithm sees fit to recommend my stream to someone. So we have EBON coming up. Decent volume on the 5-minute. On the 1-minute, we're looking a little Looking a little light on some of these individual candles, but this last green candle looks really good in the 1 minute. GameStop right now seems to be going really, really well. Just made an attempt to break out of this range on the 1 minute. But, you know, selling off into it, so this is kind of what we'd expect. So the fact that we're selling off into the, you know, the upper bound of this wedge after we broke through VWAP means that we're probably in for a little bit more consolidation before it decides to make a move up. So especially with GameStop, I feel like you can take the time with it to look for that extra confirmation, because when it does make a move, it usually makes a pretty substantial move. So waiting for this thing to break, if we're going to take a trade on it long, waiting for this thing to break up through the wedge, you know, and then maybe come back down and retest it, and then look for strength again upwards. Might be okay on GameStop because, you know, we might lose like $1 or $2 off of, you know, off the bottom, but if it ends up making a $20 move, which is entirely possible with GameStop, then, you know, we're not really losing too much of that move. Yeah, seems to be having a quite a time here. Yeah, just pushed down to 165 and then immediately got bought back up to 167. So not too crazy. The spreads on this are pretty high. You know, we see like $1 spreads. So 165 by 166 is not uncommon. So you'll see these spikes. EBON still pushing up. Kind of a higher float stock though. So I want to see some more volume if I'm going to take a trade on it. It's a 83 million share float, so pretty high. Most of the stocks that we trade are, you know, between, you know, 1 and 40 million shares. So yeah, definitely a little bit on the high side. And, you know, the higher the float, the less it's going to move. So the less volatile it'll be, the less, you know, people can move it with with the volume that we're pushing into it. So on a 83 million share float, you know, I would like to see significant volume coming into it. You know, this just pushed 100,000 shares, but for such a high float stock, 100,000 shares is not super significant, I would say. Just pushed up above $8 though, so it's looking nice. Let's look on the daily here for EBON. So with this kind of daily, I would say I'm not. I don't have super high hopes for EBON. Within the last 2 weeks, this thing had a high of, you know, near $13. So sold off on light volume. So I assume there's going to be a lot of people holding from up above $10 that are looking to get out now that it pushed up a bit. And now we see on the 1 minute that the highest volume candle is this last candle is a red candle. So that's kind of what I'd expect to see as we're pushing up into these higher levels with EBON. There's going to be a lot of people who are holding and are just trying to get out as soon as they see the price come up at all. So we'll definitely wait on that. I mean, maybe if it starts pushing back up, it looks like there's a lot of resistance. Going to be a lot of resistance between 825 and 850. So maybe we see a break through those levels. We'll take a trade on it. Now GameStop here. I mean, GameStop's really making a push up through the top of this wedge. It came up to 167 now. You know, 4 times. Well, this is the 4th push at the moment. But it just can't seem to break through these levels. So now, I mean, if it comes back down VWAP, back down through VWAP, this might be a good time to take a trade short on it. Because it seems to be struggling coming up through 167 here. As I say it, just tapped 167. So it did print above 167, but it was a lighter share size. So the chart only reflects orders that are 100 shares or more. So people were buying at 167.20, but since they were buying less than 100 shares, the chart did not reflect that purchasing. Yeah, God, it just seems to be having a really rough time out here. Very, very light volume on these last few candles that we're pushing up. So we'll see what it does in this area. So, I mean, now as it breaks up through 167.50, might be a buy point. See how it looks as it's coming up. So, we got 5 seconds left on this candle, just broke up. A lot of buying at the very end of that candle. So, I want to see how this new candle looks here. A little bit of selling coming into it, nothing too crazy. Seems to be holding 167.50 pretty well. So if it seems like we're going to come up and break through 167 or 168, then we'll probably try to take some shares. I'm not going to take too many shares on this. So it's pushing up, but we just had a few big sell orders come through as it came up into 168. We're going to break through. Just started a new 5-minute candle. So wow, that was a terrible fill. What? So this is kind of what I was saying on the chart. It it didn't even look like it had pushed up through 168. But when I bought on the ask, it filled me at 168.36. So it had technically already broken through 168, but since no orders greater than 100 shares had gone through, then the chart didn't reflect that change yet. Oh, yeah. Dropped like a brick. So, yeah, it seems to be having issues coming into these levels here. But, I'm only holding 5 shares at the moment, so I want to hold this back down to, 166.50, see if it holds above that level. And we just dropped through 166.50. Let's see if we hold off of this. Yeah, so it seems to be, just stopped above 166.50. We have prints that are above 167 right now, but again, not really big buyers, so it's not being reflected in the chart at the moment. So now we've come down 2 times back to this consolidation level and seemingly held it both times. We'll see if we break down through it this time. But the fact that it's holding above this level is a very good sign. So buying off of these levels might have been the better play. But it looked like it was pushing up quite nicely. The new 5-minute candle just started, and it pushed up through 168. So that was what I tried to buy through. Might have been safer to buy off of this consolidation wedge down here. But, last few 5-minute candles had decent volume. So I think it's looking all right now. Pushed above VWAP, broke through this consolidation lines that we had drawn. Yeah, looking fairly solid. Came back down and bounced off of them back up twice. My cost basis is kind of trash. I was hoping to get in like the high 167s, but by the time I bought it, it had already broken through 168. So a little bit higher than we want. Again, like I said, if this thing decides to make a move back up, that move is going to be fairly significant. Pushing back down on pretty light volume. Nothing to be too concerned about just yet. I wonder if this thing is going to make a run back down to VWAP and take a and try to retest VWAP. And although it's pushing down, I mean it's still holding up above this level for the time being, which is good. Spreads are not terrible at the moment, but yeah, we seem to be pushing down a little bit. If we come down through 166 now, I'll sell this off and then wait and maybe see if we can get the bounce off VWAP, and then I'll buy coming off VWAP. Yeah, really, I mean, should remember that you know as far as GME goes, buying dips has always been the better strategy on this rather than buying into strength. So yeah, so we're breaking down now a little bit. Yeah, so holy that fill, what? All right. Yeah, it's just this think or swim like buying and selling on GME is just absolutely brutal. Uh, you get filled at like the craziest the craziest prices, and there's really nothing you can do about it. So we'll watch this as it comes down to VWAP, and then we'll see as it acts as it's coming down to VWAP. See if we can get the bounce back up. And this is why you take small share size, because GME can turn around on you very, very quickly. So what we want this to do is, if we think it's going to make a move back up, we want this to hold above VWAP at the moment. So just got bought up quite a bit, but on very, very light volume that all that buying just happened. You don't love to see these wicks on the 1 minute like that. It came down close to VWAP, bounced back up, but volume still pretty light. really want to try to like buy in the middle here, but it's just so unpleasant trying to put in buy orders like this on Thinkorswim. But it is looking pretty good right now. Um, just started a new, or the 5 minute candle started 2 minutes ago. Um, Still quite a ways below the previous 5 minute candle that had a pretty large false breakout. This 5 minute candle, this was the start of the last 5 minute candle, and it pushed up and then completely failed. So we still got a ways to go if we want to buy for the 5 minute breakout. Again, like I said, usually not the greatest idea in GME to buy into strength. Usually you want to try to find a dip opportunity. The spreads are just like absolutely insane though in the pre-market. They get a little bit better when the market opens, but still, just the spreads are absolutely nuts. So it's like 60-cent spread right now. So whatever you buy, you're automatically down 60 cents if you want to buy in the ask on every share that you purchase. So it's very difficult to make quick trades like that unless you get unless it's getting sold into pretty hard and you just buy on the bid. Most of the time, when you try to buy on the bid on GameStop, at the very least, it's very difficult to get filled because most of the buying just happens in the middle. So between the bid and the ask, and there's no button on Thinkorswim to just like buy the average. I don't think there is. Yeah, there isn't. So it's very difficult to get filled on the bid when you're trying to buy. So most of the time you need to buy on the ask, and then if you're buying on the ask, you're just getting fleeced. So pushing down towards VWAP again. Let's see how it holds up. So the actual bid and ask are significantly higher than what the chart is showing right now. So I might try to take a couple shares off of VWAP right now. And then I'll keep the stop. Whoa. Okay, I'm going to try to buy on the bid right now. The the ask just jumped up over $1 with no buying happening. So I don't know what went on there. Got filled on the bid. Keep my stop very tight now. If we drop down below 165, then I'll sell the shares off. I got filled at 165.50, so I think really good price there. Seeing as we pushed down to 165.20, so caught quite close to VWAP, which is really nice. Like I said, keep the stop tight. Looking for a bounce back up off VWAP. If we bounce back up and then we start selling off again, I'll probably cut it pretty quick as well. But we want to see it hold above VWAP here. Yeah, a couple decent size orders coming above 166, so that's good to see. Usually seeing large orders is nice on the tape. So like we saw 500 shares bought at above 166, which is good. Quite a few sell orders coming through, but lighter orders pressing up against $166 or $166. Usually you don't like to see really big orders coming through in the direction that you don't want it to go in, as one would expect. As far as other stuff to be traded at the moment, nothing's popped up on the scanners, so we're just here watching GameStop. You know, it isn't really moving too much, but it's the only thing that seems like it could be ready to make a move back up. A little bit of a seller at 166. 1,100 share seller sitting at 166. So I would say it's not massive, but with how light a volume is being traded right now, I could see it being a little bit of an obstacle to get over that. So now we have two candles in a row that literally didn't move. All of the buying and selling that happened on them was either exactly on the bid or ask or in the middle. So really a little bit of indecision happening at the moment. So we want to see this break in one direction or the other. And if it breaks down now, like I said, I'll cut it very quickly. Oh, so it looks like there might be a little bit of a hidden seller at 166. We just had, 1,800 shares go through against 166, and it didn't move. So people might see that as a little bit problematic. We'll see. Now we have 3 candles in a row where it is exactly pinned at 166. Not the most exciting chart I've ever seen in my life, I'm going to be honest. Alright, so just ticked down. And we'll see if this now, drops off the face of the earth, or if it comes back up and we take another run at 166. Ask has come down a little bit. So if we see the bid drop, close to 165, probably take these shares off. On the scanners, ZKIN just popped up, but this is another one kind of like HOTH. Yeah, so we just hit 165. So I'm gonna take my shares off here. We would have liked to have seen it come up above 166, but like I said, as it was pushing against 166, we had a few bigger orders go through, and it didn't move at all. So it looked like there was a hidden seller sitting at 166. So that might have, got people a little bit spooked. We'll see what happens with it. But for the time being, keep it on watch. ZKIN just popped up, but ZKIN, kind of like HOTH, we've seen this pop up, pretty much at least once a week, and it usually does not resolve into anything useful. So let's check out the daily on this. Yeah, within the last week it was up at 1450. A very high volume day that had a huge wick, so this is not a great indicator. Made a nice move up, but pulled back literally the entire move by the end of the day. So I think this is going to have a rough time coming back up. We want to see it push up. It has to come up, I feel like, at least to 12 if we're going to try to take a trade on it. I just don't think it's going to do it. GME. Oh, I had the wrong window up there. Yeah, so I was looking at ZKIN. We'll see if it comes up, but I have a feeling that this thing's just gonna sell back off down to where it started. Already a very steep drop off in volume. And GME still gonna be the one to watch, but it just is not doing anything at the moment. We lost 16 bucks on it so far. Not anything too significant. I took a trade short on it this morning, so I'm up like 40 or 50 bucks. So a little bit of canceled out a little bit, but still up overall on GME today. I mean, I have a feeling that this thing is probably going to sell off a bit more coming into the open. But you never really know what GameStop's going to do, I suppose. Draw a new line. So now we have our new little consolidation line. Get better line here. Right. So I drew my new consolidation line. And we'll see what happens with it. So, red candle on the 1 minute. Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like the way it's been acting lately. I mean, in January, obviously, it was like. In late January, if you bought into it, it went up for like. There was like 3 days where it's like you could literally buy it at any time, wait 5 minutes, and then sell it, and you would have made money. But even as it was coming up in February and March, um, as far as like intraday trading on it, it I don't know, it was very very choppy. Uh, it never like technically for like breakouts and breakdowns, it didn't really follow any of those very well at all. It would be in a consolidation range. It would drop down $3 out of the consolidation range, and then you'd be like, all right, well, if I'm holding a position, I have to sell off now. It just broke down through the consolidation range. You'd like sell off, and then all of a sudden it would go up $20 in the next like 2 minutes. So it's like, you can't really trust what it's doing. On the 5 minute scale, it definitely trades a lot better than on the 1 minute. On the 1 minute, it's like you literally every single time you're buying into it, like you might as well like flip a coin. Took a trade on CEMI. Is CEMI still moving up right now? I guess it is a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I want to see this come back up if I'm going to take a trade on it. Maybe this is one that I'm going to be watching coming into the open. But at least for right now, I don't know. I think the thing that bothers me is that it came up on news on Thursday. So, it's not like fresh news today. So I don't have like the confidence that this is going to push up on old news. We got GME coming up a little bit, but again on super super light volume. It's very strange. I feel like a lot of the times some of these like the biggest green candles that GME has is on very light volume. Like this is like huge, like very large volume, 15,000 shares, and it moved, 80 cents. And then we have this candle back here that was 3,000 shares, and it ended up moving, several dollars. So, I don't know, Jimmy just acting a little weird. Like the general rules of like volume in candles and like holding levels doesn't really doesn't really apply. really what you want to what you want to happen on GME is like whenever you see like that crazy momentum, like that we had earlier today. Um, so back here, came down from 190 to 170 in 5 minutes. So really, you want to get in on these like crazy volume candles and get out like as soon as they turn around. If you want to take like intraday trades on it, either that or just try to buy dips. But even the dip trades, I mean, you can't really. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the time I can't really trust that it's actually either gonna like hold a level or not. If you're taking a dip trade off VWAP and you buy off of VWAP and then all of a sudden it drops $2, it's like you should probably sell. But also at the same time, it could just turn around and come back up $15 after you sell it, and then you feel like an idiot. So it's very, very difficult to trade GameStop intraday unless you're just buying and holding. But even so, I mean, buying and holding, it's like, do you really have the confidence that like GME is valued properly, and you think it's going to go up? I know like the squeeze play is what everyone has been trying to play on it for the last like 2 months, but um, without having like full information, it's like, are you even sure that the short float is still high? You always see these people post on Wall Street Bets where they're like, I did the math, and the short float is actually at 10,000%, and it's going to go up to $100,000 a share. But it's like, no one really has the information except for the hedge funds themselves. So you could buy into it thinking that the short play is still there, and then all of a sudden it drops back down to $40. I would say that the fact that it's holding above VWAP though at the moment, holding closer to the upper half of this wedge. Maybe coming into the open, we'll see a move back up to try to reclaim some of the hole that it made this morning. It pretty much dropped, like $30 without without making any kind of move up. So we might fill in some of that $30 hole at the open. Yep, just very light volume, not really too much going on after these big moves back here today. I don't know, man. I feel like the way it's been trading in the last month, obviously, had was down here $40, had a few killer days, went up to 187, pulled back, consolidated for a while, broke out of the consolidation range, essentially moved straight up to 350, and then we had this anomaly here on this day. Um, but I mean, since that day, I feel like it's been steadily trending downward. So I would say as far as like daily trend, I like the odds of it going down a lot more than I like the odds of it coming back up at this exact moment. While I was talking CEMI, I made a tiny move, pushed up from 550 to 560, but having a little trouble holding those levels. GameStop just pushed up, getting closer to the top of that consolidation range. I'm gonna wait to take a trade on this. Like I said, I mean, I'm definitely at this point more short biased on it than long biased. So I'm gonna wait for I'm probably gonna wait for a downtrend back down to take a trade on it. I'm gonna trade it short. just from the way that it's been looking, I mean, I really don't have the confidence that it's going to come up, especially after the sell-off this morning. I mean, we had this day where it pushed up to 350. We kind of consolidated for 2 days, and then we pulled back. Then we made an even lower low, and then we kind of trended downward for a little bit, pushed all the way down to 112 that day. And then we came back up, but we never even were able to reclaim, the highs we made back here. So put in lower highs, and then it looks like we're kind of trending down a little bit more again. And today, obviously, when this daily candle starts, we're going to be looking even worse. So CEMI, yeah, I talked about CEMI before. It's just, it is pushing up. It has really solid volume. For the amount of volume that it's pushing, though, I would say it isn't moving a ton. And also, the news is from last week that it's coming up on. So this is like a continuation play. And it's a continuation play, but it's still below the highs, the pre-market high at the very least. So I would want to see it come up closer to the pre-market high if I'm going to take a trade on it. So here on the minute on GameStop, another, just another point here where it's like pushing into these highs. It just rejected immediately. So buying into the highs, is just like it's just a recipe for disaster on GameStop, unless you see these huge momentum plays coming in. If you see just people buying it up, the thing moved $5 in the last, minute and a half. Most of the time with those momentum plays, if you catch them early, they're usually good for like $20, $30 move. So if you catch it when it's only up $5 and you just like see the momentum and jump in, then you could be okay. But when we're very light on volume like we are now in the pre-market and it's pushing up, it's never been a good idea to buy into strength. It just never works. The amount of times that you'll fail and then it'll push down $5 and you have to close your position, it's just gonna it's gonna outweigh any good move that you make on it. Especially like I said, when over the past week or two we've been in like a steady downtrend with GameStop. Yeah, 1,000,000 shares and it moved 20 cents. Like I said, maybe coming into the open we'll see a nicer push on this, but just the way that it's trading right now, I mean, if you're taking a breakout trade on this, you say you bought on the 5 minute above 550 here, you made whatever 10 cents, 12 cents, something like that. So you'd have to be taking a pretty enormous amount of shares to make any kind of like significant profit on that. And then on the 5 minute, you'd probably have to hold down to 540 and you're still in trend. So you're looking at like a 10-cent downside and like like a 13, 14-cent upside. So your profit loss ratio is pretty weak on that. Especially like I said, because we're below the highs. The news is close to a week old now at this point, so I just don't love it. Ooh, I'm probably gonna have to get off here. I have a meeting every Monday morning at 9 o'clock, so gotta jump out here and go get ready for that. Yeah, CMI really is the only ticker that's doing anything right now besides GameStop. And GameStop is just, yeah, it's a little rough to trade. I'm probably not going to take a trade long on it today. I'm going to wait until it turns around, and then I'm going to try to take a trade short on it. But yeah, so I got my meeting to go to. Hopefully, all you guys have good trades today. Hope everyone makes money. If you want to check out Olive Guardians, got the scanners. They run all day, so feel free to use them. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great day.